Archangel Michael forced this message through because something attached to your past is still holding your present hostage. You felt it, but never had the words, until now. Open immediately. You weren't supposed to carry it this far. What attached itself to your spirit years ago should have broken off by now, but it didn't. Instead, it evolved, like a shadow following your every step, whispering lies that sounded like truth, convincing you that healing was impossible, that your past defined you, that what happened back then, what you lost, what you saw, what they did, would always hold you hostage. You've tried to silence it with logic, with distractions, with hope. But Archangel Michael has come crashing through the veil tonight because heaven couldn't wait another moment. This is your spiritual interception. You felt the dreading weight in your chest, silent, unexplained, often disguised as tiredness or anxiety. You've blamed your circumstances, relationships, even yourself. But Michael says the real enemy is older than you think. It's rooted in timelines you buried and memories you outgrew. Yet they still live. This message was not sent gently. It was not delivered in whispers or dreams. This one burned through the silence like fire through dry wood because your present reality is being strangled by an ancient grip. And it ends tonight. That grip is not stronger than divine truth. Your freedom has always been waiting on the other side of recognition. The moment you name the spirit, it begins to lose power. But first you must see it. That's why Michael is here. He's not waiting for your permission. He's not asking you to be ready. He's acting under divine instruction. Something you were never meant to carry is still chained to your future. He has drawn his sword not just for battle, but for severance. There's a break in the atmosphere right now, a heavenly rupture, and this is your only window to step through. Type I am chosen to get the blessing 5252. Archangel Michael stands guard over your awakening now, not as a distant protector but as a divine force thrust into the core of your soul's battleground. He sees the invisible threads wound around your life, tugging at you in cycles you don't understand but constantly repeat. Every disappointment you thought was random, every door that slammed shut too early, every relationship that collapsed without clear reason. He's showing you now that they weren't coincidences. They were symptoms. The true sickness has always been spiritual. A history you've never fully faced has been rewriting your present without your consent. He's showing you images, not with your eyes but within your knowing. Flashback you dismissed as irrelevant. Childhood memories that seemed harmless. Patterns of silence you inherited. Michael says the root is not in your mind. It's in your memory's energetic imprint. What you survived created a blueprint of emotional and spiritual responses that still activate today. That's why you overthink love. That's why you second-guess your intuition. That's why you prepare for disappointment even while hoping for joy. You're not broken. You're bound. And this message, this moment, it's heaven's strike against that bondage. There is something that was never spoken over you, a truth that could have unlocked you. You were never meant to absorb the pain you witnessed. You were never meant to take responsibility for someone else's failures. What you did. And now Michael says you're still doing it. Still trying to fix what was never yours to carry. Still making yourself small so others can feel big. Still dimming your discernment because someone once punished you for seeing too clearly. It ends now. The angel has drawn his sword because this moment demands force, not subtlety. Type I am rising to get blessing 6411. Heaven is not vague, and neither is your calling. But until this invisible cage is shattered, you will keep misinterpreting the delays in your life as rejection. Michael wants you to understand this. some of the things you've prayed for didn't come because the version of you that asked was not free. What you were asking for would have crushed the version of you still wrapped in emotional chains. So heaven withheld, not as punishment, but as preservation. You thought God was silent, but he was protecting you from your own entrapment. Now that protection is turning into intervention. The blessing wasn't denied. It was delayed until the war inside you was identified. Michael calls it ancestral interference, not just in your DNA but in your soul print. Someone else's emotional architecture became your survival map. Their silence, their shame, their secrets, you picked them up unconsciously. You thought you were just being strong, but you were being shaped. Heaven waited until now because this is the moment when your spirit is strong enough to not just feel the truth, but face it. This is the permission to separate from what never belonged to you. And now, he asks you to let go. Not in word, but in decision. Let go of the idea that you're obligated to carry it. Let go of the guilt that's been wrapped around your joy like a noose. Let go of the illusion that healing requires perfection. Michael says you don't need a perfect history to have a sacred future. All you need is the courage to uncross the wires, to unbind the timeline, to release the mistaken identity that's been speaking louder than your destiny. This is not therapy. This is divine surgery. Type I release it now to get the blessing 7070. Michael's voice is not thunder. It's authority. The kind that doesn't negotiate with darkness. The kind that speaks once and expects the spirit realm to obey. He has stepped into this moment of your life because what was inherited must now be interrupted. The chain that wrapped itself around you didn't begin with you. You were born into it. A family pattern. A soul contract disguised as tradition. But Michael says heaven doesn't recognize bloodlines that bind. Heaven only honors lineage when it reflects divine light, and the one clinging to you reflects shadows. Some of you were born to mothers who never healed, fathers who never spoke truth, generations that wore silence like armor and shame like perfume. You were handed fear and told it was wisdom. You were shown emotional starvation and told it was strength. You learned how to shrink before you learned how to breathe. Michael says this was never divine design. It was a distortion, a spiritual virus passed through unspoken wounds. And the war you are fighting now, it is with something ancient that assumed you would continue the cycle. But Michael declares this: it stops with you. This is the generational inspiration. This is the spiritual quarantine where the patterns lose access to your name, your body, your mind, your future. What attached itself through trauma must now be severed through truth. He's not asking you to understand everything at once. He's asking you to surrender the lie that this is just how life is. It's not. You were not born to struggle endlessly. You were not designed to normalize chaos. You were chosen to bring clarity. That's why this message had to break through. Type I am chosen to get the blessing 7779. You've likely been confused lately, restless without a reason, feeling like something was watching you, blocking you, or pulling you backward. That wasn't apparently, it was spiritual pressure. When heaven gets ready to free you, hell gets loud. That internal noise you couldn't explain. That with the resistance of something that knew its grip was loosening. You thought you were breaking down. But Michael says you were breaking out. Your confusion was not madness. It was the collapse of old agreements being revoked by divine power. Archangel Michael sees what you cannot. He saw you hesitating when new opportunities came because the voice of the past screamed louder than your faith. He saw you replaying old wounds when someone tried to love you. He saw you building walls where there should have been windows. And heaven whispered, enough. That whisper grew into a command, and that command became this message. The divine has intervened not because you're weak, but because your destiny is too powerful to be delayed one more season by what you didn't even realize was still active. It was never about the surface symptoms, the broken friendships, the bad decisions, the unstable seasons. It was always about the spirit behind it all, the one that whispered false identities and projected fear into your every move. Michael says you were not broken, you were being baited. And now the trap is exposed. The mask is removed, and with it comes your authority to disagree with the lie. You don't have to fix your past. You only have to reclaim your agreement with truth. This is the power you forgot you had. And Michael is here to remind you. Type I reclaim truth to get the blessing 8891. Archangel Michael stands over your life now like a gatekeeper, wielding not just a sword, but a scroll that contains the truth of who you were always meant to be. You see, the darkness never really feared your pain. It feared your clarity. Because once you truly see yourself, once you remember the divine identity hidden beneath all those years of survival, control begins to collapse. The enemy of your soul didn't come after your joy because it was joy. It came after your memory of heaven, your remembrance of your worth, your divine origin. The pain was a distraction. The trauma was a disguise. But beneath every betrayal, there was a brilliance still flickering inside you. Michael says that spark has never gone out. It's only been buried under layers of borrowed beliefs. You thought you were weak, but you were grieving. You thought you were behind, but you were healing. And while you were blaming yourself, the real enemy was hiding in plain sight, a false version of you. One shaped by pain instead of promise. One rooted in fear instead of faith. But now that version is being dethroned. You have confused survival with identity for too long. You adapted to environments that didn't honor you. You wore masks just to feel seen. But the time has come to put down the camouflage. Michael is demanding a holy unmasking. The truth is not just about what happened to you. It's about what didn't happen. You were never affirmed in the ways your soul needed. You were never called by the names heaven gave you. So you wore the names pain handed you instead. Too much, too broken, too late. Michael is tearing those labels off, one lie at a time. Type I remember who I am to get the blessing 9317. Your healing does not begin with fixing. It begins with remembering. The divine design of your soul was never meant to live in confusion. That fog you've been under, it wasn't just emotional, it was spiritual amiu. Michael says the moment you stop agreeing with false definitions, heaven starts flooding your mind with clarity. That's why this message came with force. You were moments away from building your next season on a broken blueprint. And heaven couldn't allow that. Your destiny demands alignment, and alignment requires truth. You've been fighting battles that weren't yours to fight because the version of you created by pain believed you had to earn love, prove worth, chase validation. But the real you, the one heaven wrote, walks in authority. That version doesn't chase it, he calls. That version doesn't beg. He speaks and the atmosphere shifts. Michael is here not just to protect you, but to reveal you. The past tried to redefine you, but this revelation is your rescue. This is the voice of divine memory waking you from the long sleep of self-doubt. You're not weak for having forgotten. You were overwhelmed. And heaven honors what you survived. But now it's time to transition from survivor to sovereign. That means stepping into identity, not just healing from injury. You must now walk like the one who's been chosen, not just spared. Michael says you are not what happened. You are what remains after what happened, and what remains in you is holy, is unshakable. It's more powerful than your pain. Let this truth burn in you until every lie has no place left to hide. Type I walk in divine identity to get the blessing 7420. Now that the mask has been removed and your soul exposed to its original light, Archangel Michael shows you the next step: release. You cannot carry revelation and bondage in the same body. One must bow to the other. And now that you remember who you are, the invisible prison cannot hold you. The truth doesn't just set you free, it makes you free. That means this is not about waiting for permission. Heaven is not suggesting your freedom. It is declaring it. But you must agree. You must make the move that shatters the invisible agreement with your pain. Michael says your past may explain you, but it no longer defines you. He wants you to see how every prison was constructed, not with iron bars, but with repeated beliefs. Thoughts repeated become strongholds. Reactions repeated become patterns. You've been living within a narrative written by your pain, but narrated by your own voice. That ends here. Every time you said, "This is just how I am," you reinforced the prison. But now, you're speaking differently. And every new truth spoken is a crack in the wall that held your purpose captive. It doesn't have to be loud to be powerful. You don't need to scream your freedom to prove it's real. Sometimes freedom sounds like silence. The silence of no longer needing to perform for people who never saw you. The silence of not defending your truth to those who benefit from your doubt. Michael says silence is a sword when you've been bound by noise. And now heaven wants you to rest, not as surrender, but as warfare. Rest in truth. Rest in worth. Rest in the unshakable knowing that the war has already turned in your favor. Type I step out now to get the blessing 6124. But hear this clearly. Freedom will feel uncomfortable at first. Not because it's wrong, but because pain was your normal. And normality, even when it's destructive, creates familiarity. Michael says you're not just leaving bondage, you're leaving your false home. A spiritual habitat built on emotional wounds is no longer livable. And as you walk out, some things will feel empty, but they're not. They're being cleared. Some people will fall silent. They're not abandoning you. They're revealing they were only attached to your pain, not your healing. Let them go. Your silence is confirmation. You might wake up and not recognize yourself. That's not confusion. That's transformation. Your mind is rewiring. Your spirit is expanding. And for the first time in a long time, the version of you standing on the threshold of this next chapter is not built by trauma. He is shaped by truth. He is rooted in revelation. Michael says the moment you stop waiting for someone else to validate your freedom, chains start dissolving. This part of your journey is not about permission. It's about movement. And the angels are already making space for your steps. You've passed through fire without the smell of smoke. You've wept through seasons no one knew about. You stood when every part of your spirit wanted to collapse. Michael honors it. Heaven saw it. And now, it counts as seed. Your endurance wasn't in vain. It was prophetic. Because you endured, your lineage is being routed. Your bloodline is being cleansed. What clung to you can't pass through this threshold. You are becoming the first unchained one in your ancestral line. And every step you take now is rewriting history. Type I break the cycle to get the blessing 8011. As you step through the broken gates of bondage, Archangel Michael commands your attention once more, not to look backward, but to assess your atmosphere. Because freedom is not just internal. It must reflect in your surroundings. The world around you must now adjust to the truth awakened within you. If your space still echoes with the frequency of your former captivity, you'll be pulled back into what no longer fits. Michael isn't just helping you escape something. He's helping you build something new. And it starts with reclaiming your spiritual environment. You may have noticed, even in the last few days, that certain people feel heavier to be around. Conversations feel forced. Spaces that once brought comfort now bring confusion. That's not coincidence. That's clarity. You've changed frequencies. The old vibrations that matched your wounded self no longer align with your healed self. Michael says this is not a sign to panic. It's a sign to purge. You are not being called to burn bridges out of bitterness, but to realign your sanctuary out of reverence. You are sacred now. Everything around you must rise to match that vibration. Heaven has declared your atmosphere holy ground. That means boundaries are no longer optional. They are spiritual technology. What you allow near you shapes what flows through you. Michael warns you now. Do not invite disorder into your newly ordered soul. Protect your peace the way he protects your purpose, with fire. This is not about pride. It's about preservation. You've spent too long accommodating energies that drained you, dimmed you, or distracted you. Now your light is rising, and heaven is issuing you authority to guard your gates without apology. Type I protect my peace to get the blessing 6626. The people who once needed your brokenness to feel strong will begin to sense the shift. And their discomfort is not your responsibility. You are not abandoning them. You are no longer abandoning yourself. You are no longer bending to stay included. You are standing to be aligned. Michael says the ones meant to walk with you in this next season will not be intimidated by your healing. They'll honor it. They'll mirror it. So don't cling to old bonds that tremble at your growth. Let what's false fall. Let what's forced fade. Even in your home, even in your daily rituals, heaven is inviting a recalibration. The music you play, the words you speak, the thoughts you entertain, all of it is soil, and your spirit is the seed. You cannot plant revelation in the same ground that once grew confusion. Clear your space. Anoint it with intention. Let the atmosphere echo your new identity. When you walk into your room, let it feel like walking into clarity. Let every corner declare, freedom lives here now. This is how you guard what heaven just delivered into your soul. Michael wants you to recognize your spiritual perimeter. It's real, and it's powerful. But if you don't enforce it, the noise will find a way back in. That doesn't mean you isolate. It means you insulate. Surround yourself with what strengthens your truth. Let go of anything that reintroduces the lie. The music of your past, the scrolling that stirs comparison, the habits that numbed you when you were hurting, all of that must now bow to your wholeness. This is your temple now. And temples don't just survive, they shine. Type I raise my frequency to get the blessing 9442. Now that your atmosphere has been cleansed and your gates restored, Archangel Michael speaks directly to your voice. Because nothing manifests without language. Heaven may release a promise, but it is your words that shape the soil it grows in. Michael says you've entered the phase where your mouth must mirror your mission. You can no longer afford to speak as the version of you that was wounded. You must speak as the one who was sent. Every declaration now carries weight. Every phrase is a tool of warfare or a weapon against yourself. You spent years narrating from pain, saying things like I'm just not lucky, or it always ends like this for me. You didn't realize you were prophesying defeat over your own future. But that changes now. Michael isn't just silencing your enemies. He's awakening your voice. Not the one shaped by fear, but the one sculpted by heaven. The one that calls things that are not as though they are. The one that doesn't describe life as it is, but commands it into alignment. The one that speaks with the tone of the throne room. Your voice is no longer just for conversation. It's for creation. Every word you speak now must either edify, sanctify, or solidify your new reality. That means complaints must be converted into declarations. That means fear must be filtered before it forms a sentence. Michael says your vocabulary must graduate. You don't just react anymore, you realign. You don't just vent, you validate what God has said about you. You don't just talk to survive, you speak to sculpt. Your future is listening. Make sure your voice sounds like the one who remembers they've been chosen. Type "I speak with power" to get the blessing 7844. Even your private words, the ones you whisper to yourself in moments of silence, carry prophetic weight. Michael says the spirit realm is not confused by volume, but by authority. Whether you say it in a shout or a whisper, if you say it with divine agreement, heaven moves. Your healing isn't just about thoughts, it's about tones. You must now learn the discipline of sacred speech. Speak mercy over your own timeline. Speak peace over your own name. Speak truth even when your circumstances haven't caught up yet. The light tried to muzzle you for a reason. If you ever started speaking as your healed self, everything around you would have to shift. That's why shame attacked your voice so early. That's why rejection stole your confidence. That's why comparison made you question your insight. But no more. Michael says heaven has anointed your vocal cords. This doesn't mean you have to be loud. It means you have to be clear. Clear in your intention. Clear in your declarations. Clear in your no's, and even clearer in your yes to purpose. You're not just finding your voice, you're forming realities with it. Speak as though your atmosphere has ears, because it does. Speak as though the winds carry your prayers, because they do. You are no longer waiting for change, you are speaking as change. Michael urges you now to renounce every word curse you've ever accepted or spoken. Break the agreements made in confusion. Cancel every label that didn't originate in heaven. Your silence is no longer sacred. Your sound is. The earth is groaning, and your voice is the response it's been waiting for. Type "I speak divine reality" to get the blessing 3377. Now that your voice has been activated, Archangel Michael shifts your focus to your walk. Because freedom that is not lived becomes theory, not transformation. You've reclaimed your mind, reset your atmosphere, and restored your speech. But now, heaven is asking, will you walk as if it's true? Not just on the mountaintop, but in the valley. Not just when it's easy, but when resistance comes. Michael says your stride must now match your identity. No more hesitating. No more fainting. Your posture must now echo your power. You are no longer walking as the one who needs to prove anything. You are walking as one who knows. You carry spiritual weight now, not in arrogance, but in alignment. The ground beneath you recognizes you. The atmosphere around you reacts to you. And every step you take from this moment on is not just movement, it's marking territory. Michael says the earth is responding to your awakening. That means doors will open where there used to be walls. That means divine appointments will find you because you are no longer hidden behind false versions of self. But here is the test. Can you walk when it still feels like delay? Can you move forward even when your emotions haven't caught up to your new awareness? Michael says your body may still carry the echo of the old rhythm, but your spirit has already shifted. So walk until your body remembers. Walk until your nervous system calms. Walk until your old reactions dissolve into the new reality you've accepted. You're not faking it, you're forming it. Faith is not always loud. Sometimes it looks like simply refusing to step back. Type I walk forward now to get the blessing 4488. This walk is not about speed, it's about direction. Michael wants you to stop measuring how fast you're healing and start trusting the path itself. You're not behind. You're not late. You're aligned. Every step, even the small ones, are sacred when they come from clarity. Stop discrediting yourself because you're not where you thought you'd be. Heaven is not on your timeline. It's on your transformation. And now that your path is cleansed from past patterns, every step forward is a step into divine orchestration. You will encounter resistance, but don't confuse resistance with misdirection. The enemy of your soul knows he's lost legal access, so now he'll try to intimidate your movement. Michael says don't fall for it. The storms that rise now are not signs to retreat. They're proof you're disrupting old altars. Keep walking. Your steps are prophesying. Your feet are rewriting the map. Your movement is making room in the spirit realm. And every place your foot touches now holds the imprint of a healed identity, a sound the enemy can no longer counterfeit. Heaven is with you step by step. You're not walking alone. You've been assigned angelic coverage not just to protect you but to escort you. You cried alone, but you'll never walk alone again. And as you move, you'll notice something strange. What used to trigger you won't anymore. What used to delay you won't reach you anymore. That's because you shifted dimensions. Your frequency has changed, and your past doesn't have clearance to follow. This is the part of freedom no one talks about. The quiet glory of being untouched by what once defined you. If this word has ignited something in your spirit and stirred fresh courage within you, we encourage you to respond with a super thanks of $20. Your support enables us to continue releasing prophetic words that bring clarity, healing, and hope to those moving from betrayal into breakthrough. You can also donate through PayPal by clicking the support here link in the video description. Every seed sown strengthens our ability to speak life and truth into the lives of others. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of spirit-led wisdom, prophetic direction, and divine encouragement tailored to your season of transformation. Type I step into destiny to get the blessing 5566. Now that you are walking as the one who remembers, Archangel Michael turns your attention to the covering that surrounds you. You must understand this. Your freedom didn't just unlock your potential, it awakened opposition. But fear not, because what heaven calls heaven cutters. Your walk may feel exposed, but your spirit is sealed. You are not moving through life unguarded. Michael says angelic presence is now a permanent feature of your journey, not because you're in danger, but because you're in destiny. And every step you take in purpose requires protection. The enemy cannot stop what God has declared, so he will try to distract what God has begun. Expect whispers. Expect chaos dressed as urgency. Expect old temptations to reappear not as threats but as comforts. But Michael warns you, do not be deceived. Distraction is the last weapon of a defeated enemy. Now that your path has been revealed and your stride aligned, the only way darkness can touch you is if you stop walking. Keep moving, because the covering only operates in obedience. The angels are positioned along your forward path, not behind you. Your discernment is your shield. Michael says you must now learn the difference between tension and warning. Not everything hard is a sign to stop. Sometimes pressure is proof that your spirit is pressing into new territory. When you feel resistance, don't ask what's wrong. Ask what's breaking through. This mindset protects your momentum. You are not under attack. You are under construction. And construction zones come with divine caution tape. Heaven will block access to what could poison your next chapter, even if your emotions beg to go back. Type I am divinely protected to get the blessing 9292. Let go of the expectation that everyone will understand your protection. Some will accuse you of changing. Others will say you've become too distant, too guarded, or too selective. But Michael says your spiritual borders must be respected. Not everyone should have access to the you that has finally remembered. You are no longer someone to be handled. You are someone to be honored. And honor requires access to be earned. If someone's presence causes confusion in your path, it's not alignment, it's interference. This new version of you walks with light so strong, it will expose hidden motives. Don't be surprised when alliances shift, when friends become silent, when approval fades. It's not rejection, it's revelation. Michael says protection sometimes looks like removal. Trust the pruning. Heaven does not guard what it's trying to destroy. Heaven guards what it intends to glorify. You are that vessel now. Life. Covered. Called. And because you're called, interference must be cleared before elevation begins. And elevation is already in motion. Your dreams may intensify. Your senses may sharpen. That's not just awakening. It's warfare clarity. You'll see things others miss. You'll feel things others ignore. This is the weight of the awakened. But with it burden comes backup. Heaven is never reactive. It is strategic. That means angels are being dispatched before you even recognize the need. You're not just covered in times of emergency. You're carried in times of preparation. Walk boldly. Speak with precision. And rest in knowing that even when you sleep, warfare continues in your favor. Type I walk under divine shield to get the blessing 6401. Now that protection is firmly established around your path, Archangel Michael shifts the revelation to what's coming next, the blessing. Not a generic reward, but a specific release tailor-made for the version of you that's finally in alignment. This blessing was withheld for a reason. It wasn't delayed because you were unworthy. It was delayed because you were still being refined. Heaven will never deliver something sacred into a space still shaped by self-doubt. But now that the false version of you has been dismantled, the true blessing can find its address, and that address is you. Michael says this blessing will demand boldness. It will not fit into the framework of your old fears. It will not shrink to accommodate your hesitations. It is large, unfamiliar, and precise. And you must rise to meet it. You must believe you are the one it belongs to. The enemy will try to whisper that it's too big, too sudden, or too good. But recognize that for what it is, insecurity wearing spiritual clothes. This blessing is not an accident. It's been chasing you through every wilderness, waiting for you to stand still long enough to receive it. But hear this, blessings require stewardship. Michael warns that without bold action, the blessing can become another missed moment. Don't second-guess it. Don't overthink it. Don't run it through the filter of unhealed people's opinions. You've been prepared in secret. Now walk in what you were prepared for. This blessing doesn't need explanation. It needs acceptance. Don't water it down to make others comfortable. Don't apologize for the doors opening. Heaven doesn't bless for applause, and blesses for purpose, and purpose has just called your name. Type I receive my blessing boldly to get the blessing 7171. Expect sudden invitations. Unexpected resources. Out of the blue confirmations. You won't have to force anything. Michael says divine blessings never demand striving. They respond to surrender. All you need to do is say yes with conviction. Say yes to being seen. Yes to walking in rooms your past told you you'd never enter. Yes to owning your voice in circles that once made you silent. Yes to being the evidence of what freedom looks like. This is not a dream anymore. It's your new assignment. It's your divine appointment now arriving on schedule. This bold blessing will require boundaries. Not everyone who clapped for your survival will be clapping for your expansion. Michael says don't confuse history with harmony. Some people only loved you when you were small, dependent, or broken. Now that you are being elevated, their support may shift. That's okay. Heaven didn't anoint you to be understood. He anointed you to be fulfilled. Release the need to explain your elevation. Let the fruit speak. Let the peace prove it. Let the transformation do what words never could. Most importantly, Michael reminds you this blessing isn't just for you. It's through you. You are becoming a vessel, a blueprint, a testimony others will read without you even speaking. You were once the one seeking healing. Now you're the carrier of it. You were once the one begging for clarity. Now your presence brings it. You were once hiding from the weight of calling. Now your footsteps carry fire. This blessing didn't come because of how strong you were. It came because of how surrendered you become. You are not just blessed. You are a blessing in motion. Type I carry the blessing forward to get the blessing 8084. Now that the blessing has met you at the door of your boldness, Archangel Michael turns your focus to what's happening behind the veil, a divine shift. This isn't just a moment of favor. It's a pivot point in your life's assignment. Heaven is not merely giving you something. It is repositioning you. The shift is internal and external, spiritual and practical, divine and visible. What felt like slow progress was actually the buildup of momentum. And now, everything is moving. Quickly. Deliberately. Precisely. This is not chaos. It's heaven rearranging reality around your obedience. Michael says you've stepped into a space where time bends around transformation. What would have taken years in your old mindset will now take weeks. What once delayed you no longer has clearance. The people you used to need approval from suddenly seem distant, and that's divine. The opportunities you thought were locked are now cracking open. That heaviness in your chest has lifted, not because the world changed, but because you did. You are no longer negotiating your future with your past. The shift is happening through you, not just to you. This kind of shift carries holy responsibility. It means you must now be intentional about everything. Your thoughts, your circles, your pace. Michael says this is not the season to entertain distractions disguised as normal life. Oh, your normal has changed. The standard has risen. You cannot pour out from the same rhythms that once drained you. You must cultivate discipline around your energy. You must build structure around your spiritual stamina. Because this shift is not a season. It's a setup. Heaven is staging your next breakthrough, and your job is to stay ready. Type I align with this shift to get the blessing 5595. You'll notice the old wounds no longer speak as loud. The thoughts that once screamed now whisper and vanish. That's because the shift has quieted the inner warfare. What you're feeling isn't peace by accident. It's alignment by design. Heaven never asked you to be perfect. It asked you to be in position. And you finally are. Your identity, your voice, your walk, your protection, and your blessing are now working in harmony. That harmony is what makes you dangerous to every force that hoped you'd remain asleep. This shift will bring people into your life who recognize you in the spirit before they know your name in the natural. Don't dismiss those connections. These are divine alliances. People sent not to take but to build. You'll feel seen without explaining. You'll feel safe without guarding. These are your destiny partners. Heaven never meant for you to carry greatness in isolation. The shift clears space for those who carry matching fire. And when you walk with those who've seen glory too, something happens. Your purpose multiplies. Michael says this is your invitation to trust the unfamiliar. Don't cling to what's comfortable. Don't resist the shift just because it's different. You prayed for change, now walk in it. Let the old go without apology. Let the new settle without fear. You are not in transition. You are in activation. The very vibration of your life has altered. You no longer attract based on brokenness. You draw in alignment, purpose, and heaven-sent increase. And if it feels like too much, remember this. Grace is not a feeling, it's a force. It's covering you even now. Type I move with heaven's timing to get the blessing 6262. With a shift in full motion and alignment secured, Archangel Michael now reveals a deeper truth. You are standing on the threshold of inheritance. Not financial, not material, but spiritual legacy. What you've walked through has not just healed you, it has positioned you to receive what those before you could not. This inheritance is the culmination of generations of silent prayers, unseen battles, and broken cycles. You were never just healing for yourself. You were unlocking a vault of divine resources that belonged to your bloodline, but required your awakening to be accessed. Heaven hath been waiting for someone in your lineage to rise in full remembrance, unchained by shame, unburdened by guilt, and unhindered by fear. That someone is you. Michael says you are the breaker, the one ordained to reclaim what was forfeited. The dreams that died with your ancestors, the mantles that went unfulfilled, the callings left dormant, they are being reawakened in you. This isn't reincarnation, it's redemption. You're not becoming someone else. You're retrieving what's always belonged to your spiritual DNA, but was buried beneath oppression and forgotten identity. You'll start to notice ideas that don't feel like yours, but they are. They've been passed down through divine memory. Suddenly, you'll speak with wisdom you never studied. You'll move with clarity you never practiced. You'll dream dreams that carry instructions. That's inheritance. It's not random inspiration. It's ancestral restoration. Heaven honors the silent strength of those who came before you by placing the manifestation in you. You are their answered prayer. You are the fulfillment of what they couldn't articulate. You are proof that God keeps covenant through generations. Type I receive my inheritance to get the blessing 5155. But inheritance requires integrity. Michael reminds you that this weight cannot be carried casually. You are now responsible not just for your freedom, but for the cultivation of a lineage that walks in truth. That means you must be careful with your influence, intentional with your words, discerning with your platforms. You are no longer just a person. You are a portal. Others will come through you into healing, into clarity, into purpose. This isn't pressure, it's privilege. Heaven has trusted you with legacy, and trust is the highest compliment the divine can give. This inheritance also means that what once took generations will now take moments. The delay has been revoked. The resistance has been cleared. Because of your obedience, The doors that once stayed closed are now generationally open. Your children, spiritual or biological, will walk through battles you never had to face. They'll begin where you had to fight to arrive. That's inheritance. That's divine acceleration. That's what happens when one soul decides to break agreement with the past and step fully into heaven's timeline. And understand this: what you carry cannot be stolen, imitated, yes, interrupted, maybe, but stolen, never. Because spiritual inheritance is not accessed by ambition, it's accessed by alignment. And you've aligned. Heaven has recorded your war. Michael has witnessed your surrender. And now, the scroll of your name is being opened. The ink of your legacy is fresh. And your story is no longer marked by survival. It is marked by divine succession. You are the beginning of a bloodline reborn. Your name echoes now, not just on earth, but in the halls of eternity. Type "I walk in legacy" to get the blessing 8882. Now that inheritance has been released and spiritual legacy claimed, Archangel Michael brings you to the most sacred revelation of all: the covenant. Not a contract, not a blessing dependent on performance, but an unbreakable agreement between heaven and your soul. You didn't earn it, you awakened to it. This covenant has always existed in the blueprint of your being, but it lay dormant beneath years of distortion. Now that truth has been restored and alignment secured, the covenant rises within you like fire in your bones. Eternal, divine, indestructible. Michael says this covenant cannot be revoked by mistakes or cancelled by opinions. It is sealed in divine light, hidden from the corruption of man, and guarded by heavenly decree. When the warfare intensified, when you felt forgotten, when you nearly gave up, this covenant held you. Even when your faith shook, the agreement did not. Even when you wept in silence, the signature of your soul remained untouched. This is why you didn't break. This is why you still rose. Because beneath your pain, beneath your identity, even beneath your purpose, the covenant was always intact. But now it is no longer just a hidden truth. It is a lived reality. Michael says the moment you began to reclaim your identity, your entire atmosphere shifted to mirror the unbreakable bond between you and the divine. You no longer walk in the world hoping for protection. You walk as one who is already protected. You no longer chase favor, you carry it. You no longer question if you are chosen, you embody it. The covenant is not a temporary covering. It is your eternal mark, and no darkness can erase what God has etched in the soul. Type "I am sealed by covenant" to get the blessing 3971. This covenant brings clarity in confusion, strength in silence, authority in uncertainty. It speaks when you cannot. It protects when you sleep. It guards your name, even when others try to defile it. Michael says your enemies cannot curse what heaven has covenanted. They can gossip, manipulate, lie, even delay, but they cannot dismantle what God has sealed. And you are no longer living for validation. You are living from consecration. You are the evidence that what heaven ordains, hell cannot overtake. The covenant is not just your protection, it is your assignment. With it comes responsibility. You must now carry yourself like the one who remembers the vow. That means no more entertaining lesser identities. No more watering yourself down to blend in. No more hiding in environments that cannot hold your fire. You are made to stand out, not from pride, but from presence. The covenant glows from your being. It cannot be ignored. It cannot be imitated. It is divine proof that heaven chose you, marked you, and sent you. And though you may still feel moments of trembling, Michael reminds you, trembling does not cancel covenant. Emotions don't erase it. Doubts don't dismantle it. This is why heaven forced this message through. It was time for you to remember. You are not fragile. You are forged. You are not unfinished. You are unfolding. You are not alone. You are anchored. And this anchoring will outlast storms, seasons, setbacks, and even silence. You don't need to fight to keep the covenant. It fights to keep you. Type I walk under eternal promise to get the blessing 4414. This is the final seal, the last whisper of heaven's urgent message that had to break through time and resistance just to reach you. Archangel Michael has spoken, not to your ears, but to your soul. And now, you are no longer the one who questioned their value. You are no longer the one haunted by shadows of a past that clung like smoke. You are no longer walking in circles. You are walking in covenant clarity. This message was not about motivation. It was about movement. And you have moved. Spiritually, mentally, eternally. Heaven did not come to suggest freedom. It came to enforce it. You didn't ask for this moment, but your spirit did. And now that the truth has found you, there is no returning to the old dimension. You have been delivered from the realm of delay, from the grip of silent guilt, from the agreements made in pain. You have been re-established, renamed, and re-anointed. The enemy hoped you would scroll past this, tune it out, forget it quickly. But you didn't. Because somewhere in your soul, you knew. This was the message everything in your life had been leading to. This was not just a prophetic warning. This was your divine reclamation. You are not what happened to you. You are not who walked away. You are not the delay. You are not the heartbreak. You are not the confusion. You are what remains after it all. And what remains in you is holy. What remains in you is purpose. What remains in you is fire that no flood could drown. You were kept for a reason. You were preserved for revelation. And that revelation is now complete. Archangel Michael will not leave you at the closing of this message. He stands guard over your life, over your family, over your next step. But now he is silent, not because he's gone, but because you have heard him clearly. The next word must come from you. Speak it. Declare it. Live it. You are free. You are chosen. You are sealed. You are whole. And you will never be held hostage by your past again. If this word has ignited something in your spirit and stirred fresh courage within you, we encourage you to respond with a super thanks of $20. Your support enables us to continue releasing prophetic words that bring clarity, healing, and hope to those moving from betrayal into breakthrough. You can also donate through PayPal by clicking the Support Here link in the video description. Every seed sown strengthens our ability to speak life and truth into the lives of others. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a moment of spirit-led wisdom, prophetic direction, and divine encouragement tailored to your season of transformation. Type I am eternally free to get the blessing 9999.